So we are back and it is time to quilt the Modern Charm quilt, and apparently I felt the need to match the quilt with my nice yellow shirt. So as far as the quilting goes, I'm thinking something flowery or something kind of meandery. Not 100% sure just yet, but I do have a light pink thread that I'm going to use. We do know that the binding is going to be this because I was able to cut 2-inch strips of those, so it will be a skinny binding, but it'll still be a coordinated binding. And then for my backing, let me show you what I got. So for my backing, I went with this dragon fruit Kona color because I felt like when you see the binding next to it, it kind of pulls into these darker colors. And so I think a nice, good dark backing is always a plus in case it gets thrown on the ground, thrown in the grass, not a white background. Obviously a lot of wear and tear, nice and cuddled up. So I went with the darker of the pink to kind of do that. And I got enough so that next week's quilt will also have the same coordinated backing. So we're gonna do light pink thread, bright pink backing. This is gonna be our binding and let's see what happens. So I'm gonna go piece this together and we're gonna get loaded in real quick. So everything is all basted in as usual. I've got my dragon fruit backing, my quilt here. My thread that I have is this cotton candy pink glide. And then for my design, I'm gonna go with this Cirque one. I think it'll be a nice amount of texture and kind of give it a little something fancy without being too over the top. At first I was thinking something modern and very like neutral, but I don't know. This one, I'm hoping looks as good as I think it is. I think it'll kind of match with this in here without overpowering it, but I guess we're gonna find out together. So here's our first zone and it looks great. It had a little bit of texture on there and everything else is ready, but something weird happened in my measurement and it stops about a 1/4 inch from the edge on both sides. And I don't know how that happened. I did have to reset my safe area, so I don't know if that threw off my pattern measurement. I don't know. But so basically when it's time to trim and put my binding on, I'm going to trim my borders in a little bit all the way around, but that should be no problem. here at the bottom, and now I'm going to trim off my batting, take this off, and then we're going to go first scissor cut around the outside, and then I'm going to get my rotary cutter and my mat and trim the excess off to even this all out, so then it'll fit in the binding and it'll all be good to go. So let's get this quilt all done. Apparently it's another day of matching this quilt, because now on our reveal video I'm wearing the pink to match it. So the Modern Charm quilt is complete, and at first I was a little hesitant about this pantograph because it was kind of a little extra and all over, like I don't usually do. Well, maybe I guess I do kind of do some novelty stuff, but overall it did add some movement, give it some texture, and kind of match this florally kaleidoscope mosaic kind of thing. And I think it looks really well. With the light pink thread, it looks really good on the back, just to kind of give a little something without being stark and contrasty all over it. And so I think this turned out really cute. I'm excited to see how it pairs up with its twin quilt next week. But in the meantime, take a look at that churn dash all quilted up. And then remember, I had to do the skinny little binding. So that was 2-inch binding that I had to fold over. And as far as the quilting, remember how my first zone was like narrower for whatever reason? My measurements got thrown off. So what I did after that is I went back to my home screen, made it wider, which instead of, it's not going to shift it to one way or the other. The way that my program works is it works from the center out. So I added about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch to it to make it a little wider so I wouldn't lose as much of my border. So then when I put my binding on, it filled it up just right, and I didn't lose too much when I trimmed it up. So I'm excited to say that this turned out quite nice. I think it's like 47 by 63 was the original size, or 61, something in that range. But good size little lap quilt, as usual with these 3-yard quilts. So let's go outside and do a quilt drop and give you the final reveal.